Hi everyone, I'm Stan Mallow. Welcome to the Paranormal Yakker. My guest on today's show, who I'll be yakking with, is Jerry Mystic. He's a professional runestone reader who has mastered this ancient method of divination. Jerry Mystic, I welcome you to the show. Now, as stated in my introduction, runestones are one of the oldest forms of divination known to man. Do you know its origin, its history? How far back does it go?
The runes are about 2,000 years old. There's the Elder Futhark and the Younger Futhark. The Elder Futhark has 24 runes in the set. The Younger Futhark has 25. The 25th is a blank representing the unknown. The first runes found in an archaeological dig were found on a Roman helmet as an indication to the gods that this man is protected by the gods.
Jerry, were runes always used for divination purposes, or were they originally used for some other purpose and over time evolved into tools of divination?
Runes are the letters of the Viking alphabet, used by the Celtic, Germanic, and Viking people. Each letter has a meaning in the physical, psychological, and spiritual realm, so they can be used for divination as well as spelling. How it works is you think of a question, reach into the bag, draw 1 or 3 or 9 runes, depending on how much detail you'd like in the answer. Shake them and cast them like dice. The gods provide the answer, I do the interpretation.
Which is great. What are the similarities and the differences between runestones and another very popular form of divination, that being tarot cards?
Runes and tarot both use a choosing of things from a group of things to produce the answer. I find that tarot cards are more cut and dried, and runes require a little more intuition.
Intuition on the part of the reader, on the part of the person you're reading with, or a combination of the two?
Together, yes. When I do a reading for somebody, I'll tell them what I see, and if the answer makes no sense to them, then I'll ask for a little bit of context and see if we can't dig into it any further.
There are 78 cards in the tarot deck. When it comes to doing readings with them, a number of different spreads can be used. Also, the number of cards used differ. Is it the same with runestones? Are different methods used in your readings, and can the number of runes used for them differ?
There are a number of different ways to read them. My preferences are to use single runes, 3 rune cast and 9 rune cast. You can also do Celtic cross, 3 runes in a past, present, future spread. There's a number of different ways to do it. A practitioner of old who is looking for an answer from the gods would go into the woods, find a fruitwood tree, ask the tree's permission to carve some twigs from the tree, carve the runes onto the twigs, meditate on the question, cast them on the ground, get the answer, and burn them.
And burn them, why?
They were designed as a throwaway item.
Huh.
Now, mind you, this set that I have here, this is too nice to burn.
Yeah, no.
But I know a fellow who makes a new set of runes for himself every year, burns the old set to release the energies of that year. He uses popsicle sticks.
Are there any rituals used when you burn them, or they just burn them?
Just burn them.
Just burn them.
That's one of the reasons why there are very few runes found in archaeological digs. They were designed as a throwaway item, and they're traditionally made on fruitwood tiles, so they've returned back to the earth.
If they only knew then what they knew now, they'd be worth a fortune. Too bad. Now, what type of questions can one ask in a rune reading?
The common ones that I get are money, love, job, health, family. Runes are great at answering anything except specific dates and numbers. If I'm doing a reading and somebody asks about a timeline, The distance from the center of the casting cloth to the edge seems to be about a year.
Time frame about a year. Can one ask a question for somebody else who is not there?
Absolutely.
Yes, you can. Okay. Jerry, are there any questions you will not address? I ask that because some readers choose not to answer certain questions. Others will answer anything. How do you work? Are there questions that you will or won't answer?
Well, runes are not very good with dates, and they're not very good with numbers. So I can't tell you exactly when you're going to die, and I can't give you Lotto 649 picks.
Neat thought.
Everything else is wide open.
What are the dynamics involved in casting the runes?
How it works is the three fates are in charge of weaving, cutting, and spinning the threads of our lives into the fabric of the universe, and all living things. So when we reach into the bag and pull out runes, we can read the vibrations in the runes that are happening elsewhere in the universe.
Once you have somebody take out the runes from the bag that you have them in, does it matter right hand, left hand, or whichever is correct? There's no specific hand that they should be using?
There's no specific hand they should be using. If they're doing a 9-rune cast and want to count them into their other hand to make sure they've got the right number, that's okay.
Some readers, no matter what the tool is that they use, prior to doing the reading, they engage in some sort of ritual or ceremony. Do you engage in any rituals or ceremonies prior to performing your rune readings?
Nope, I keep it simple. I make sure that these runes are with me at all times, so the runes and I share the same energy.
That I did not know. So what do you do that you're on that same level and you're just in sync with them?
Whenever I'm done with runes for the day, I'll pack up the runes and the casting cloth into the bag, slip the bag into my inner jacket pocket, and they go with me everywhere.
When it comes to runes, are certain materials better to use than others, such as stones versus wood, polished versus natural?
They're traditionally carved on fruit wood tiles, and being a traditionalist, I like using my apple wood rune set. Other sets that are made out of bone or stone or glass or plastic or whatever, they're pretty, not traditional. Do they still work that well? I've only worked with these.
And you're a beautiful craftsman. You make these yourself?
These I got from another fellow.
Okay.
About 24 years ago, when I was just starting out, I was making chainmail, managed to make exactly enough money at a particular event to walk across the vending circle and buy this bag of runes and a book. The book was Rayvo the Journey by Jennifer Smith. You can't get that book anymore. What she recommended was read the book, read the stories, get a sense of what each rune is all about and what it means to me, and then make a cheat sheet. And using that cheat sheet, I can then mark down on the cheat sheet which runes land which way, up, down, touching each other. Do the interpretation for the customer. The customer gets to take that sheet with them when they go, so that they've got a record of the reading.
And what got you interested in it? You were always interested in Rune Stones, or at a certain point in your life you became interested in them? What was the trigger that, because there's so many forms of divination, what was the trigger that had you go towards the runes?
Well, I'd seen a whole lot of folks who were doing divination. Almost everybody's doing tarot. I'm not everybody.
You are not.
So I gave it some thought, and at this particular event, I saw a woman selling runes. They made sense to me.
And that is so important with what you said, because some people, want to try to do readings, whatever the tool is. Well, I tried this and it doesn't work. Doesn't mean something else doesn't work. Obviously, this was a good fit for you.
I agree.
And what countries did they spread to? Because I know it started with the Vikings, but they did a lot of traveling.
They did. The Celtic, Germanic, and Viking peoples were the ones who used the Elder Futhark.
And did they become more popular in other places where the Vikings went to versus other places? Like did certain people, certain cultures, grab onto the runes and like it and continue with them?
In Scandinavia, the letter alphabet that they use today still contains runes.
It does?
It does.
Wow. Now, was there a time, because I've heard mixed things about this, where, say, some religious organizations, etc., they wanted to ban them, and for a time, runes had to be done underground. Is there validity to that, or an urban legend?
I don't know about that. I do know that Adolf Hitler was a big fan of runes, and the SS symbol is actually Swulo, twice, success and positive energy. That guy ruined it for everybody.
Yeah, you see, I just learned something because I thought it came from a symbol from India.
Nope, that was Swulo, twice.
Huh.
Success and positive energy in the physical
Well, I
side.
know he was very much interested into the occult and
Yep.
was looking all over the world for that and using it for that. Now, you do make your own rune stones too, correct?
I do.
Right, and what material or materials do you gravitate to?
I had a couple of trees in my front yard that were sugar maple. They were getting sick. They needed to come down before they hurt the house. Didn't want to turn them into firewood. So I did some out of those. I've got some trees on my property that are lilac. I've done those. I've done some ash. I've done some what's have I done? I've done some runes in cherry. Those turned out nice.
Okay, wood. Do you ever work with stones, actual stones, or you prefer the energy of wood?
My preference is for the energy of wood. Again, it's the wood has a life force that runs through it, a life thread,
Correct.
and that to me makes sense as a means of divination, being able to read the vibrations of the universe through the life threads that are woven through it.
When it comes to rune stones, and people asking you questions, because I know I've seen you at events, I know you were very popular, and for good reason. Obviously, you're delivering the goods. Did anyone ever ask you a question that was most unusual? Because sometimes readers, somewhere along the way, one particular question stands out. They didn't expect to be asked this question. Did it happen with you? And if so, what was that question that you did not expect?
Oh, there was a number of them. Let's see, there was one particular reading. The fellow wanted to know about a particular outcome of something in his life. He picked up 3 runes, shook them, cast them. One landed face up, one landed face down, and the first time I'd ever seen this, one landed on its edge between the 2. So the one that landed face up was the present. Nothing needs, something is wrong, he wants change. In the future, success, positive sun energy. Standing between them was Laguz, the water rune, uncovering truth. The big fear. So basically it came down to that the one thing that's blocking him from success was his own fears. And once we were able to work through what that fear was, he was able to go on and have the success he was looking for.
Well, actually, that's great. Hopefully he came back and told you in a later show, yes, you were right on. With that, that has to be very satisfying, to be able to help people. Because when people, go for a reading, obviously they want help, they're not sure. I think that most of the
direction, and you're able to give it.
I really do like doing that. There are some folks, though, who are looking to validate their own way of thinking.
Okay.
And so they'll go to one reader, they'll ask a question, they'll get an answer they don't like, says they have to do some work. They have to go to the next reader, ask the same question. Sorry, honey, you still have to do some work. Go to the next reader, still have to do some work.
It's also amazing what you just said leads me to something else. Having been in a number of different events, and different readers using different tools come up with similar type answers to the questions that they are asked, and sometimes they're like different pieces of a puzzle. What one sees, the other one, doesn't see, and it gets complete with that. But what you had said about people wanting to get the answer that they want, they're really wasting their time and their money. Why are you going? It's like going to the dentist and your teeth over there. Your teeth are perfect. They're good. No, I want a cavity. Tell me there's a cavity. I need root canal work or something like that. I don't know. But again, all you can do is give people advice and hopefully at least think about it.
That's all I can do.
Because I know I found that very frustrating when I was doing readings. You see something, you're pretty much sure somebody should do that, but you're right, people to do what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But then when like this other gentleman listened to you and heeded your advice, that was great. That has to be great, satisfying for you.
I had one fellow come to me for a reading. He was a musician who was just putting out his first album. He was just putting it together. He asked me, what's in it for the next year for me? And I told him, it's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard. He didn't like that answer. And he went away.
Mm-hmm.
And he came back the next year.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, yep, you were right. Let's do it again. Let's see what's up for next year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and by the way, here's a copy of the album, and your words, it's going to be hard, are in one of the lyrics.
Did you share the copyright, the royalties, or no? Did you at least take it out to dinner or something? No?
I get a free CD out of it. I'm okay.
That's good, but that has to be before. Yeah, that's always satisfying as a reading when people give you that feedback.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I wasn't sure, but then time proves you're right. And that is something else that has to be sort of, not frustrating, but as a reader, you don't say something that's going to happen the next day or 5 minutes. It has to go over time.
Mm-hmm.
And like you say, some people are not happy with the answer you give them, but eventually they say, no, you are right on with that. Have you gravitated to other types of divination, or the Rune Stone is what you're about?
The runes are the main focus of what I do. I also do numerology charts. There's some really interesting ways to add numbers together in numerology quickly. With numerology, take the person's name, convert all the letters into numbers, add the numbers together, break that number down into its individual digits again, add them up, keep going until you get down to a single number. There are a couple of other ways to do this to make it faster. Anytime there's a 9 that shows up, it can get thrown away because it doesn't work out in the equation. Anytime 2 or 3 numbers can be added together to create a 9, those can be thrown away.
Now, you have a number of runes that you have out here for us. Would you maybe explain just a few of them to the viewers of the Paranormal Yacker?
Sure.
Sure, that would be great. Thank you.
Let's see. Svulo, success. Positive sun energy in the physical, psychological, and spiritual realms. Nothes, need, a sense that something is wrong. Do I smell smoke? Hagalas, hail, the house is on fire. Wunjo, glory, success. Kanaz, the torch. It's the torch of knowledge. You can think of it as a torch inside a cave. You can see what's directly in front of you, but not what's far ahead.
It's you'll know it when you see it rune.
And you're talking about past, present, and future with these.
Yes.
So maybe they've had success in the past, in the future could be bumpy, or vice versa.
Yeah.
We're going up with that on how people relate to it themselves. Do people have like follow-up questions with these things? Like, how curious are people when they come with you? So they just ask a question and you give them the answer and they like that.
Some people are total skeptics. They'll ask me,
So what am I thinking? Well, you're thinking that this is total crap, aren't you? And there are some people who, when they look at the reading, it makes complete sense to them. There are some people, the reading makes absolutely no sense to them until they give me a little bit of context, and then I can show them, okay, yeah, these runes here, this is how this is playing out, and that's how that appeals to and addresses your situation.
Yeah, because I know I've seen situations like that. It shows where somebody has a reading and this is nothing, no. And 6 months later they say, I want to come back and apologize. Of course, I know it's going to be frustrating for you, but all you do is just give the people the answers that you're feeling intuitively and leave it with them.
I just tell them what I see. I just interpret the answer. The answer that the gods give is always right. My interpretation may be imperfect, but the answer is always right.
Mm-hmm. But you're getting it from a divine source.
Yes.
Which I think is great. In your travels, have you found that certain people, certain cultures, certain communities are more open to it than others?
A number of years ago, I was at the Celtic festival in Fergus, and I had a front man who was able to get people lined up, paid and waiting 6 deep for me all day Saturday. By the end of the day, I was a babbling idiot. But that was a lot of fun.
Well, you would fit right in at the Celtic festival. Yeah.
I was one of 2 readers there, and it worked out very well.
Did you feel, when you're at a Celtic festival, did you feel bagpipes and all kinds of things going on there? Do you feel the energy? Does it help put it to a higher level?
Oh, there's lots of energy at an event like that. I have to ground and shield myself to ward off some of it.
No, because I know I've been to that festival and it's like, wow, I mean, it's in the air. Everybody's just there.
Yes.
It's one of those things, it's difficult to explain it, but you're there actually experiencing it. It's a whole different ballgame going on with that. Age-wise of people, do you find male versus female, younger, middle-aged, older, or is a cross-section of people who are interested in it? Because I'm finding that in recent years, more and more people are interested in forms of divination.
I find that at psychic fairs, it's usually women as opposed to men. I've found that people are more receptive to runes since the show Vikings came on.
Yeah.
So now at least they've heard of them.
Mm-hmm.
Makes my job of explaining what they are a whole lot easier.
Mm-hmm. But I know I've seen you in action sometimes when people, ask you about it, something like that. You're very nice. You're very, very courteous, and you give them lovely explanations. So obviously, this is a craft that you're well versed on and are very comfortable with on that.
If any of our viewers would like to book a reading with you, have you at their corporate event or fundraiser, or purchase one of your handmade mystical products, such as your rune sets, how do they go about contacting you?
www.chainmailguy.com/JerryMystic.
One more time, please.
www.chainmailguy.com/JerryMystic.
Jerry Mystic, I thank you for being a wonderful guest and for sharing your extensive knowledge of runes with the Paranormal Yacker audience.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stan. It's great to be here. I appreciate that.